But that's not all. The elders of the church, they're not only, folks, these people not only apparently had unbiblical leadership, but they had leadership that refused to lead biblically, i.e., here's the next phrase, it's not just compromise. What does compromise deserve? It's judgment. They apparently had leadership that refused to judge. Again, biblically, what is an elder supposed to do? Uphold, obey the authority and judgment of Jesus Christ individually, and you're to uphold that corporately in the church. As we saw before with Ephesus, folks, judging, yes, is something we Christians are supposed to do. Yes, we are supposed to judge. You ask the average compromised Christian on the area of judgment, what have they been trained by the world to say? Christians aren't supposed to judge. Open your Bibles to Matthew chapter 7. Let's settle this. Matthew chapter 7, verses 1 through 5. Let's go straight to Jesus. Hello. He's the one with this word, this threat to the church. He's the one I would think knows about this issue of judgment. Should we judge? Should we not? Matthew chapter 7, verses 1 through 5. And here, once again, with many false teachings, is exactly what people are doing. You read one verse and you stop. You need to continue on to read the whole context of what the verse is saying. From the lips of Jesus, Matthew chapter 7, verse 1 through 5. Here's what he says. Do not judge or you too will be judged. There it is. Don't judge. That's where people stop. Keep reading. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye, hypocrite? How can you say to your brother, let me take that speck out of your eye, and all the time there's a big old plank in your own eye, you hypocrite? First take the plank out of your own eye, and then what? Then you will see clearly to what? What's that word? Remove the speck from your brother's eye. Now notice what's going on in the context. It does not say you are to never judge. It says you are never to judge hypocritically. What's going on there? One guy was sitting there saying, you better stop that. And they had an even bigger problem. But notice it didn't stop there. It says once you get rid of your bigger problem, then you can safely go back without hypocrisy and what? Judge or remove that brother's speck. Jesus said we're supposed to judge. John 7:24, he says, stop judging by mere appearances and make a right judgment. He didn't say don't ever judge. He says stop judging by appearances, make sure it's right. Paul says 1 Corinthians 6, 1 through 5, listen to this, scathing rebuke to the Corinthians. If any of you has a dispute with another, dare he take it before the ungodly for judgment instead of before the saints, the church? He says, don't you know the saints will judge the world? And if you are to judge the world, are you not competent to judge in trivial cases? Do you not know that we will judge the angels? How much more the things in this life? Therefore, if you have disputes about such matters, appoint as judges, even men of little account in the church. I say this to shame you. Did you catch that? He says, I say this to shame on you. He says, is it possible that there's nobody among you, church, wise enough to judge a dispute among believers? Folks, I don't know if you read the Bible, it seems that we are supposed to be judging and judging up a storm. And it's not us making it up. That's where you need to point out to people, I'm not saying this, God is, and he's the ultimate judge. I'm just upholding what it says. You understand? That's the right way to do it. And if you guys will recall in the context when we dealt that first time in greater detail, this was exactly what the leadership of Ephesus, listen, did do. That's one thing they did right, the leadership. They refused to tolerate error, period. They weren't going to put up with it. They weren't going to sustain it. They weren't going to support it. They were not afraid to judge it. Why? Because that's what godly biblical leadership is supposed to do, to protect the flock. But not Pergamum. And compromise and sin with this world came in like a flood, and nobody would stop it. Not even the ones who were supposed to stop it. Until Jesus himself, the chief elder or shepherd, had to come and give them a threat. And it ain't just Pergamum, folks. It's here in America today. Why? Because they and we have compromised in this world for what constitute as a biblical leadership. And we refuse to judge error and sin, even the sin of compromise. You cannot tolerate it. John MacArthur says this, you cannot tolerate evil in any form. You cannot allow it. 1 Corinthians 5, Paul says a little leaven does what? Leaven infects the whole lump. He says you allow that, it festers and it grows. The church must be in constant judgment on teaching. There is no room for compromise. If we fail to exclude unbelievers and their worldly beliefs from the fellowship of the body, we, church leadership, are in error. The church is not designed for unbelievers to come in and say whatever they want and accept it however they are. It's designed, listen, for saints to hold the truth, and where unbelievers come in and hear this truth and get saved. And he says, when you allow unbelievers to come in and take part and participate in your church, you're going to have people there who live a Balaam lifestyle and a Nicolaitan lifestyle. We'll get to that after a while. That's okay, that's what they're doing, but here's the point. But you better be careful. They'll mingle with the church with their fornication and their church with their idolatry. And listen, Jesus says, I will come with the sword out of my mouth and I'm going to slice them up. Is it any wonder, folks, we have what we have here in America today? Worldly, sinful churches that look more like a stupid country club instead of passionate followers of Jesus Christ. I don't think so, folks. I think we would do well to pay heed to this letter to this church. It's all about compromise. That's the danger of it. That's the harm that it causes. And that's why Jesus starts this baby off so severely. You better pay attention. He's not joking around.